my question was staffing.
Yep.
I mean, you spoke about the good old days being in the room as a junior. How do you go from being in that sort of style of auction to stood in front of a camera? How do you teach someone that, to stand there with a hammer and
I can tell
for
you, I
new
can-
staff? Yeah.
There's
It's
no
weird,
way
yeah,
I could
it's a
do it.
weird one.
Because how do they...
Or
Learn,
You can
I mean,
they only learn on the job.
on the
I
job,
presume.
correct.
And if you're
correct.
doing
That's
it
how I
every
learned,
6
so, you know,
weeks or so,
myself and my colleague at Savills, who you know, we were sort of coming up at the same time. We'd been there for probably 8 years before we got a chance to go on the rostrum, and it was the same way that our bosses had told us their stories of how they first got on, which was auction day came around. We had two bosses who were the two auctioneers. We were in the office at 7 a.m. getting prepped for the auction, and suddenly one of them runs to the toilet, starts throwing up, has to go home sick. So me and my colleague looked at each other and went, right, let's do it. Let's ask him. So we went up to the other bot. You know, oh, you're not going to be able to offer all those lots yourself today. We'd seen at that point, you know, we'd been involved in 100+ auctions. We'd seen enough. We were like, let's give it. Let's take the risk. Let's do it. And he gave us 5 lots each. Myself and Robin at the back of the catalogue.
If you hadn't made it as an auctioneer, would you have been in musical theatre or something? Yeah?
Probably, yeah.
You love it, yeah?
It's not for everyone.
but how do you
I know,
train?
so how
them?
do you
'Cause
train?
I think
so no one trained me. No
No,
one
you just
trained
learn
me.
as you go.
From
And have
what
your
you
own
see,
style.
and
Pick up
have
the
your own
pattern
style
and-
and learn.
yeah.
You know, pick bits from this
You were
one
so
and that
nervous.
one.
Back in last September.
Because it was the
mean,
so
you should see him
so for
before.
the last 5 years
got any
before we
videos?
set up this probate, before we set up probate auction, the auctions I'd been running at my company were not the same. So they were timed online auctions, which we call like eBay style. So there's no auctioneer. There's just a bidding panel showing you what the current bid is, and the lot is open for an hour. And during that hour, anyone can jump online, place a bid, come back to it 5 minutes later, see if it's the same way as eBay works.
Yeah.
So
that Allsops
I'd had
run something
yeah, exactly,
similar.
yeah. A few of the other auctioneers
Yeah.
still run it, and something that we're going to
Yeah.
launch as a secondary sort of thing with us soon. So for about a 6-year period, I had not been up on the rostrum. So when we launched this, and Nick was like, "We got to do this live stream," because it was one of the things I realised as well from my previous business and mistakes that I'd learnt from, was I was in total agreement, because unfortunately by having the eBay style auctions and by launching my business with those auctions, you remain a faceless business. And so much of the auction world is about building a trustworthy reputation and a knowledge of that person. So when Nick said, no, we're doing live stream, I thought, yeah, great, we've got to. If we want to really announce ourselves on the stage here, that's what we've got to do. So yeah, the first time I was back up there, and I'd never done it in that style before either, where I'd always done it to a room full of 1,000 people, which was nerve-wracking in itself, but after the first couple, it just becomes second nature. So I had to kind of learn all over again, and it's taken me probably up till now to really get comfortable, and now I feel genuinely, you know, Nick would come in
first couple
taking
of-
the piss
first-
because I'm like pacing up and down
Yeah.
the
First
office.
couple of auctions, he's
going
like,
getting myself
breathing
psyched up.
beforehand.
And are you
whatever
stood
else.
there the night before in front of the mirror,
Yeah,
hammer in hand? Not
like,
literally, but yeah.
you know, the 5 minutes leading up to the night, I'd get some music on and
Yeah,
get
get you
myself up.
pumped.
But now it's like I'm strolling. Nick will tell you, like last week, I'm sat there eating a big a McDonald's breakfast with
Yeah,
a
he's
minute to go.
definitely
before-
relaxed.
much
I mean,
more
for the
relaxed.
that comes with the territory.
And that then helps as well, because being relaxed up on the rostrum, it frees you up to talk naturally to people, and talking naturally and putting your character across is genuinely is what's going to get more bids out of people.